In what feels like the blink of an eye, a conflict in the Middle East has absolutely exploded, sending some serious shockwaves across the entire globe. So today, we're going to break down exactly what's happening, the military escalation, the economic fallout, and of course, the human cost of a crisis that is literally changing by the hour. And if you want to understand just how serious this is, this quote from a top U.S. defense official really says it all. Today marks the most intense day of airstrikes against Iran yet. The stakes here are incredibly high, and honestly, the situation is escalating with alarming speed. All right, so first up, let's look at the direct military action. This isn't just happening on a single front. What we're seeing is a crisis that's rapidly intensifying all across the region. Yeah, this is not a single battlefield. You've got the U.S. targeting Iranian leadership and their critical infrastructure, basically trying to cripple their command and control. In response, Iran is deploying underwater mines in the Strait of Hormuz. And you have to remember, that's a major choke point for about a fifth of the world's oil supply. So that move alone threatens the entire global energy supply. And at the same time, you got a drone strike on a UAE oil refinery and Israeli airstrikes against Hezbollah and Lebanon. It all shows how quickly other regional players are being pulled in, creating this sprawling multi-front crisis. And look, this conflict has a very real, a very human cost. The Pentagon has already confirmed 147 U.S. casualties. That's 7 killed and 140 wounded. It's just a stark, immediate reminder of the price of this kind of escalation. You know, the speed of all this is just staggering. The conflict began just 10 days ago. The U.S. was reportedly involved by day 5, and now by day 10, we're already at what a top official is calling the most intense day of strikes yet. Just think about that. In less than 2 weeks, we've gone from ignition to a full-blown crisis. And, amid all the fighting, there are these tragic and incredibly complex incidents. The White House is now facing an investigation into a missile strike that hit an Iranian school because evidence suggests an American missile may have been involved. This creates just an enormous diplomatic and humanitarian problem. And it complicates an already unbelievably volatile situation. Okay, so next, let's talk about the economic shockwave. Because this conflict isn't just contained to the battlefield. It's hitting the global economy, and it's hitting it hard. Because this isn't some distant conflict, right? The real question for so many of us is, how does this actually affect your wallet, your life, and the world's markets? Well, it really starts with this one number. Crude oil has now surged past $100 a barrel. That single data point is what's driving so much of the economic pain that's now being felt all around the world. And here's what that oil price spike looks like in the real world. In just 1 week, the average gas price in the U.S. has jumped 56 cents a gallon. That's a direct, immediate hit to household budgets, plain and simple. And a strain is being felt everywhere. You have major investment firms like Citadel reporting significant losses. You've got entire nations like Thailand so concerned they're actually considering energy rationing. And then there's this. The U.S. State Department is spending $40 million just to get its citizens out of the region. The economic fallout here is both incredibly deep and incredibly wide. So with the military and economic picture getting clearer, what about the global response? Let's take a look at the diplomatic and human actions that are being taken. Key allies are definitely being drawn in. After a drone strike hit a British airbase in Cyprus, the United Kingdom responded by deploying a warship, the HMS Dragon, to the region. This is a clear sign that the conflict is pulling in other major world powers. But the response isn't just military. Amid all this state-level conflict, there are these powerful human stories emerging. 5 members of Iran's national women's football team refused to sing their national anthem in protest on the world stage. They have since sought and been granted asylum in Australia. It's just a stunning act of individual defiance. And of course, while this conflict is completely dominating the headlines, it's really not the only thing happening in the world. For example, for the first time in 6 years, train service is resuming between China and North Korea. Back in the U.S., a special election is underway in Georgia. And on a brighter note, Brazil just won its first ever Winter Paralympic medal. So we come back to where we started. In just 10 days, this conflict has shaken global stability, it's shaken markets, and it's shaken individual lives. The escalation has been unbelievably rapid, and the consequences are already severe. So the critical question now is not just what happens in the next 10 days, but whether diplomacy can somehow de-escalate this whole thing before it spirals even further out of control.